Hey guys, and welcome back to the internet. Sorry my uploads have been kind of spotty lately. My life has been kind of hectic and weird lately, and it's probably going to continue that way for a little while, so... But speaking of weird, check out this choosing beggar conversation. Hi, is the PC still good? Hi, the PC is still available, if that's what you mean. Cool, can I get it? Sure, I would say around 800 would be good, unless you have another offer. Cool, so I have lots of followers on my Instagram. As you can see, it's a lot more than you have. So I could give you a big shout out too on my story. If you're offering that with the 800, then sure. Hold on. Okay, I can give you a shout out and 10 as well. This is a joke. Okay, well, if not, then I will tell all my followers to block and report you and you will get banned. Ha! What are you gonna report me for? Selling something for a reasonable price? Yep. So are you sending it? Of course not. Please, can you send it? Absolutely not, unless you have 800, which I'm seriously doubting. How about this? My sister is in the shower right now, so I could try and sneak in and take some pictures for you, then will you send it? What the F? Will you? No. That's seriously messed up, man. So he actually sends the pictures. Can you send it now? Why the F would you do that? You need help. Okay, if you don't send it, I will report you for having pictures of my sis naked. You're freaking insane. Send it. I'm reporting and blocking you now. No, wait, don't block me. Please send it. Man, people will go to really strange lengths to try and get things for free. Well, it's time to move on to the first real story, called Problem Neighbor Feeding Feral Pigeons, Stink Bombs. A tough response, but it worked. So I live in a 10-story apartment building in a dense part of city with numerous other tall complexes, but also a number of old single-family homes. One such home abuts my building, directly under my 8th floor apartment. The long-term owner has had a pigeon coop in his backyard for years. The birds smell and are a nuisance, but no big deal. Then about 6 months ago, the owner took it upon himself to dump 20 pounds of birdseed in his backyard daily, attracting 200 to 250 city pigeons. They are ferals that lived in a nearby park, but once the feeding started, they ended up hanging out on my neighbor's roof most of the day, every day. Complaints to him to desist were fruitless. Numerous neighbors also complained to city officials, but they were useless. Animal rights activists on our city council who halted a pigeon control program a few years back as cruelty to animals are very pro-animal. They refused to take action under the pretext that there is no sort of nuisance law the city could use in this case. The smell from pigeon crap in his yard progressively got worse, and the birds started roosting on our property and crapping on parked cars. Several disgruntled neighbors, including me, pondered a solution for months. A neighbor and I arrived at a solution, artificially escalating the nuisance level of the problem, specifically the bird reek, so the city can no longer ignore the nuisance. It had to be logical, secretive, and calibrated. Someone couldn't throw dog poop on his property and expect an outcome. Long story short, we concocted an odorous slurry. Using my 8th floor balcony directly over the pigeon lover's backyard, I gave it gradually increasing midnight sprinkles of slurry, which disappeared into the grass in his messy backyard. Within 1 week, the increased odor emanated from his property, reaching half a block away. Suddenly, the problem was resolved. We did not see the official action, but word was that several prominent businessmen who owned restaurants down the street complained to the mayor about the stench. The city took action. The guy is now only allowed to keep about 15 pigeons in coops. No more feeding the ferals. An orthodox solution to a problem that needed to be dealt with. It's kind of funny that when there's like public problems that officials tend to ignore, it usually just gets people riled up and makes them want to make the problem worse just to have something done about it. Now we've got 7 items or less? Okay. So this isn't my story. I was actually kind of collateral damage in it, but it was too good not to boast. So on Thursday, my dad was holding his annual 4th of July cookout when disaster struck. He was low on cinnamon. He takes his barbecue rub very seriously, and this would not do. He needed to prep the food, my mom needed to watch my little sister, and my older brother was in the middle of an overly competitive frisbee game. I didn't have anything to do but mill around waiting for my girlfriend and her family to get there in an hour. So I was the one drafted for that most horrible of tasks, going to the grocery store on a holiday. I dodged the army of dads, doing last-second shopping for cookout essentials, grabbed the cinnamon, and head to the express counter. Every other line is packed with dads loading hundreds of items into a cart, and there's only one 7 items or less express checkout open. There's only 2 people in front of me, a dad type and a grandma type. This is where drama erupts, as the old lady notices that the dad type has, shock, horror, 8 items. She says, "You don't belong in this line, you have too many items." Says, "Sorry, I'm in a rush, and 3 of these are doubles." 8 is more than 7. Those are the rules. Go to the regular line. Says, "I'm not going to spend 30 minutes on a line over 1 item. This will only take... I don't care. You think rules don't apply to you? Get out of this line. Look, I would have been done by now if you... Get out, or I'm calling the manager. So the guy sighs and takes the bottle of soda off the conveyor belt. The old lady smirks a satisfied smirk. The dad type has his groceries scanned and pays. And that's where the malicious compliance kicks in. So he picks up the bottle of soda. I'd also like to pay for this. The cashier starts a new transaction, rings him up for the single item, and he pays and leaves. He only wound up delaying the old lady and me by less than a minute, but the look on her face when she realized what he was doing was priceless. You know, I feel stories like this have a hard time conveying just how satisfying the situation really was. It might not seem like anything when you hear it, but when you're in the heat of the moment and someone is being very impatient and you have the ability to drag things out and slow down their day just a little bit, it tends to make them go kind of crazy, which can be fun to watch. Man, we got a lot of short ones today. Entitled Mom screams at Pharmacist because he's trying to sell her child drugs. So this is a rather short story, happened today at my local pharmacy. So I went to buy nasal spray for my dad when suddenly this entitled mom entered the building with her child. So there were two sales assistants, one was talking with me, the other was talking with the entitled mom. So the Karen says, "Hello, I'd like to buy some cough syrup for my child." The sales assistant says, "Sure, which one would you like? Do you prefer any brand?" Just give me the best you have." So she takes a bottle and asks the entitled mom if this one was okay. She didn't bother to watch since she was busy on her phone and she just said, "Yeah, it's fine." Says, "Alright, that'll be $4.80. "That's expensive for this little much of syrup." The entitled mom was about to give her the money, but then she took the bottle to look at it, when suddenly she screamed at the sales assistant. "What the heck is that?" "Excuse me? Are you trying to drug my child?" The salesperson was really confused. So was the other salesperson, and me too. "What do you mean? This is just normal cough syrup." "Don't lie to me. I'm not blind. There is marijuana on the picture. Get your boss right now." They didn't want to put up with her longer than necessary, and she called her boss. The boss comes in and says, "What's the problem?" "Hi, your sales assistant tried to drug my child. I'm suing. There is weed in this. Fire them." The pharmacist says, "That's a maple leaf, lady. There is a tree right in front of the pharmacy." She got red and left while dragging her kid out. I hope none of you guys have been smoking maple leaves. I honestly have no idea what that would do to you, but maybe just don't try it. The next story is called My Wholesome Magic Time Machine Experience. So if you've never been to Magic Time Machine, a strangely themed restaurant filled to the brim with wacky decor and odd-looking waitstaff, you're missing out. One of the main draws of this restaurant is that their waitstaff always donning characters of popular and sometimes obscure media. I've seen everything from Spider-Gwen to Jack Sparrow to Doc Brown. The staff looks and acts like their character, making for a very strange but entertaining experience. One of the cool features of this restaurant is that everyone is given an autograph book, and they can ask the staff to sign it for them. It just adds to the experience. Now, my story starts on my girlfriend's birthday. This restaurant was her current favorite place, and that's where she wanted to eat. I know what you're thinking. It's a restaurant where everyone is in costumes. How could someone confuse you for staff? The answer, I'm a punk. We're talking the whole shebang. Green hair, spike, patch-covered jacket, ripped-up jeans, combat boots, piercings. I look as edgy as a 14-year-old who discovered scene music, and I love it. This current day I was wearing my favorite pair of bright red, ripped-up skinny jeans, combat boots, and my dark gray battle jacket. As I was accompanying my partner to the salad bar, I heard a little voice from behind me saying, "Mommy, who is that?" To which the mother replied, "I don't know, you should go ask him." Needless to say, there was a small tug on my battle jacket and a little girl holding an autograph book looking up at me. In a sheepish voice, she asked what character I was and if I'd sign her book. So I did what every slightly narcissistic punk rocker would do. I knelt down, took her pen, signed her book, and told her I was a character from the future that nobody knew yet, and one day she'd find out. The child smiled and ran up to her mother with the book, and when my girlfriend handed me my plate of salad, I could see it sink into the mother's eyes what had just occurred. I could see the shock in her eyes, and I quietly mouthed, "It's okay," and smiled at her. I enjoyed the rest of the night getting absolutely roasted by my girlfriend and her friends, but I felt pretty dang cool. I mean, I don't know what year this story took place, but I have a hard time believing that the whole punk scene is going to make a big comeback in the future. Oh well, the little kid doesn't know that. Now for our one long story called, I'm Not Watching Your Kids on My 18th Birthday. So a little backstory. I'm the middle of 5 kids, and it's a complicated mess from my mom being married 3 times. Basically, the order of us is my older sister from her first marriage that was raised by her grandmother for reasons I was never told. There's me and my younger brother from her second. He's only a year younger than me, and we've always been super close because we were raised together. Then there's my stepsister, who's a few weeks young, and a stepbrother a few years older than me, from her third and last marriage. That man was a saint and treated me more like a daughter than my waste-of-skin father ever did. The oldest among us is almost 10 years older than me, and because she had a kid young, I was 8 when my first nephew was born. Thankfully, she didn't live with the rest of us then, but when she moved back in with us when I was older, around 16, she had some fight with her baby daddy and bailed. I somehow became a free babysitter for her kids every weekend. This pissed me off a lot because my mom not only allowed it, she told me I had no choice because she needed time from the kids. Never mind the fact that I'm juggling school, a part-time job, Army cadets, and she was a stay-at-home mom. I had one night to myself each week to do my homework or go out with my friends, and my sister would bug her off and leave me with her crotch goblins. She didn't even have the decency to feed them first, and those little turds, aged 2, 7, and 8, were picky eaters, and trying to do my homework with these three fighting was more than I could take. It came to a point where I stopped coming home till late on my days off and just headed to the library or friends instead. This was also in the days before cell phones were commonplace and would cost like $900 up front, so my sister couldn't text to demand where I was. I often miss the days before texting and social media for reasons like this. I know, ironic, considering I post on Reddit. As soon as I walked in the door, she practically bolted and get pissy if I told her I had to go to work or cadets. Other problems she caused were things like when my boyfriend would pick me up from school and she would hit on him. Once she grabbed his car keys and dropped them down from the front of her pants and told him if he wanted them he would have to grab them. He quickly responded that he didn't want his hands anywhere near that filthy claptrap, and we ended up walking. I lived close enough to the school, but he didn't, and I had to lend him my bus pass until I could get his car keys back. Or she poked fun at a friend of mine who was really short due to Turner syndrome. Called her a beach ball because of her height combined with a double D cup size. On top of that, my mom and stepdad, who were truck drivers, were home less and less as we got older. My mom had made me start to pay rent when I got a part-time job, about $50 a week that went into helping with the bills. I hated that because I didn't make a lot, and bus passes were not cheap. My mom also started to tell me that the money I would give her for rent was going to my sister to buy groceries. My sister, on the other hand, used it to go to the casino with our other sister, then lie to my mom and tell her that I didn't give her the money. Has to start getting her to sign receipts from a book I got at the dollar store just to prove she was full of crap. Anyways, this went on for close to 2 years. Sorry for the long backstory, but this woman was the bane of my teen years and part of my 20s. What finally broke the camel's back was my 18th birthday. My mom and stepdad couldn't be there because of work, which was fine, and I had bought a nice dress to wear with some friends at the bar. Legal drinking age where I live is 18. They also told me they would be home the morning after, so we could grab lunch together after they had a nap. I got home from school to shower and got dressed to head out. Because of her antic, I had a lock installed on my bedroom door. That, and I didn't want her kids in my room because they would break things. I was in such a hurry that I forgot to relock my door when I was in the shower, and when I got back to my room, she was there, trying to zip up the dress I had bought on her, but she was too fat to manage it. I say, "Take that off and get out of my room." "But I need something to wear tonight. I'm going out and you have to watch the kids." I say, "The F I am. It's my 18th birthday. I'm going out." "But I need you to watch them. You haven't been home and I can't afford a sitter." And then I hear a rip as one of the side seams bursts open. Smugly, my sister takes off the dress and drops it to the floor. "Well, looks like you're not going now, huh?" And she walks out of my room. I check the dress, the stitches on the seam broke, so I could fix it in less than 5 minutes. I call my boyfriend and tell him what's going on, and he told me he would handle it and get ready to go. I fix the dress, get ready, and as I finish my makeup, I hear my sister start screaming in rage. I go outside and barely hold back my laughter. All 4 tires on her car are flat. Then my boyfriend pulls up and I pout at her. "Looks like you won't be going, huh?" and leave. Boyfriend had parked his car down the street and snuck over to let the air out, but not slash them. He wasn't that much of an ass. The night was a blast, what I remember of it. I didn't get home till the crack of dawn, just as my parents got home. Mom didn't say anything, just asked if I had fun and told me to be up by 11 so we could go and eat. I went to my room and collapsed into bed. I heard my sister start to whine to them in the kitchen. Must have thought she could turn this to get me in shot. But my mom wasn't having any of it and tore her like I had never heard before. Not only was my sister called selfish and childish for trying to pull such a stunt, but she was not living there for free any longer. She was given 30 days to either get a job or leave. She moved back in with her baby daddy 2 weeks later. Apparently she had been seeing him the whole time that she was living with us, and was getting welfare checks without giving my parents a dime to help out, while not even buying so much as a cereal box for her kids. To this day, I hate when any of my siblings, even my younger brother, ask me to watch their kids. I don't hate my nieces and nephews. Far from it. I just don't want to be in the situation of being that run-to free babysitter. I'm also only one amongst us 5 who doesn't have kids, and I'm perfectly content with that. By kids, have 4 legs and fur. Hey, I've got a kid with 4 legs and fur back there. So I actually had a really hard time finding a good question for today, but I came across this one, which is, people who have survived an attempted murder, what is your story? So it might get a little bit graphic, just a heads up. A random dude shot me in the chest because he thought I was my drug dealer neighbor. My neighbor was 6'3" and black. I'm 5'11" and white. Joke's on him, all he got were a few cigarettes, some pocket change, and 35 years on an attempted second-degree homicide conviction. You know, normally I'd throw out some stupid advice like, well, maybe you should try not looking like other people, but I really don't even know how to make anything make sense right now. I had a girl cut my brake lines on my car. Didn't know until we checked the camera from the apartment complex. Luckily, she cut straight through them versus slitting them. When I attempted to crank the car and the brake pedal went straight to the floor, I immediately knew something was wrong. Man, having my brakes cut is like my biggest fear anytime I'm driving. It's like I only ever hear about that kind of thing in movies, but especially if I'm like going down a big hill, I'm like, I really hope the brakes work right now. I delivered a pizza to a house just outside the city. On the way back, I stopped to help a car that got pulled over in front of me with their hazard lights on. I pulled up beside them and thought it was weird that nobody rolled down a window or made any kind of contact with me for around 15 seconds. The passenger then jumped out of his side of the car yelling that he needed help as he made his way toward my car. I thought something was weird about this. As I started to pull away before he could get to my passenger door, he began shooting at me. I ducked my head after the first shot entered through the back window and embedded in my passenger seat headrest. Another shot entered through the rear window. While the other three only hit the outside metal parts of my car, he missed altogether with another shot. I remember being sure I was about to die as he fired more shots at me. I was very surprised that I wasn't panicky. It was just like, oh, I guess this is it. Turns out that it was a plot to rob me. The pizza was ordered and the guys were stationed down the road to intercept me. They knew who I was and they knew that I would be able to recognize them, as I had delivered a few orders to them before. The guy wasn't wearing anything to cover his identity, which leads me to believe that he would have shot and killed me if he would have made it inside my car. By the next morning, they had all been arrested. The shooter was found guilty on attempted murder and sentenced to 40 years in prison. He later appealed that sentence because there was a word wrong in the jury instructions. He won the appeal and ended up being sentenced to 10 years, and was released November of 2010 after 5 years. The remaining 5 years were to be served as parole or probation. He was arrested twice for parole and probation violation when he was only a couple months away from total freedom. I laughed. Come on guys, pizza delivery guy's life is already hard enough without people trying to kill them. Though this guy kinda sounded like he was just ready for it anyway. A neighbor stabbed me in the chest because I hit him over the head twice with a 10-pound weight to try and stop him from stabbing his wife. However, I'm fat, and the knife didn't go deep enough through my breast tissue to do any damages. Yay for being fat. He's still up for attempted murder, though. Well, that's all the responses I pulled for this one. Most of the responses were a little more graphic than I wanted to read on this channel, but at least we made it through another video. But yeah, like I said, my upload schedule might be a little bit weird for the next week or so. I've been trying to put together a video for my second channel, and I've got one coming along, but I'm running into some issues and it's just a lot of work. But anyways, I'll try to find some video of Faye to throw at the end of this one, so thanks for watching.